There are some insanely powerful dungeon bosses in solo leveling, from Baruka and Igris to the Ant King. But what are their ranks? Is Baruka an S-rank boss, or is he maybe only a B-rank? Well, that's why we'll go over all dungeon bosses and their ranks in today's video. But first, we actually need to talk about boss classification, because dungeon boss ranks work kinda like hunter ranks, but still way different. For example, a B-rank dungeon needs either 3 A-rank hunters or 1 S-rank hunter to clear. That means that a B-rank dungeon boss is actually stronger than an A-rank hunter, but still weaker than an S-rank. So going through the boss classification list, a D-rank boss needs either 3 C-rank hunters or 1 B-rank hunter to clear. A C-rank boss needs either 3 B-rank hunters or 1 A-rank hunter. A B-rank boss needs, as I said, either 3 A-rank hunters or 1 S-rank hunter. An A-rank boss needs 2 S-rank hunters, and an S-rank boss needs a national level hunter. Alright, let's start talking about the D-rank bosses. And first up, we got the blue venom-fanged Kasaka. This huge and terrifying snake was the boss of the Hapjeong subway station instant dungeon. Even though it was just a D-rank boss, Kasaka was insanely strong and fast, striked with deadly precision and easily overpowered Jinwoo. But yeah, thanks to all the level ups he had been grinding to boost his strength stats, plus his insane determination, Jinwoo was eventually able to take the snake down. This also showed that Jinwoo was around a high C rank to low B rank hunter when he defeated Kasaka. Now, right after Kasaka, the next D-rank dungeon boss we gotta talk about is the Stone Golem boss. This massive golem was the boss of an unnamed dungeon that popped up near the Hapjeong subway station. He was about the size of a small building made entirely of solid rock with glowing blue veins running all over his body, and he could easily shrug off attacks from the low-level hunters like it was nothing. But then, Jinwoo showed up and just took his broken sword, chucked it at the golem's face, and blasted a hole right through it, which disoriented the golem just enough for the other hunters to finish the job. So yeah, the stone golem was weaker than Kasaka, but they're still both D-rank bosses. Alright, moving on to the C-rank bosses, we first got the giant spider Berura. Berura was the dungeon boss of the insect dungeon, where Jinwoo teamed up with Jinho and Dong-suk's squad. Well, teamed up is kind of the wrong word, since Dong-suk and his crew literally betrayed Jinwoo and Jinho, trapping them inside with the giant spider and leaving them for dead. Anyway, Berura wasn't just huge, it was fast, strong, and could even spit corrosive acid and tank some brutal hits from Jinwoo. So, as a C-rank boss, Jinwoo really struggled against it at first. But once he pulled out his new weapon, Kasaka's Venom Fang, he went for the eyes and took advantage of the poison effect, which was actually the only way he could win against this dungeon boss. Next up, we got the other C-rank dungeon boss, Cerberus. Cerberus was the first boss of the Demon Castle and the gatekeeper of the entire castle itself. This scary-looking 3-headed dog was insanely strong, super durable, and ridiculously fast. Oh, and he even had total immunity to Kasaka's Venom Fang's poison. And to make things even worse, Cerberus had an ability called Rage, which let him double his strength for 3 minutes. So yeah, Jinwoo got absolutely wrecked. But he didn't know about Jinwoo's signature move, a stab to the eye. So even though Jinwoo was on the verge of death, he eventually managed to take Cerberus down. But since Jinwoo wasn't even as strong as an average A-rank hunter at this point, Cerberus can't be ranked any higher than a C rank. Moving on, we reach the B-rank dungeon bosses. And first up, we got the Blood Red Commander Igris. What? Igris was a B-rank boss? Well, yeah. Igris was the boss of the Job Change Quest dungeon and the toughest opponent Jinwoo had ever faced as an A-rank hunter, literally pushing Jinwoo to his absolute limits with his insane speed and power. So how is Igris only a B-rank boss? Well, we all know that Jinwoo only won this fight because of, well, plot armor. Igris literally just put away his sword mid-fight. And Jinwoo even admitted that if Igris had actually used his sword, he literally wouldn't have had a chance. But that said, Jinwoo was still able to eventually overpower Igris and take him down as only an A-rank hunter. And sorry to say, but any S-rank hunter would have been able to take Igris down. So going back to the boss classification, which says that a B-rank boss can be cleared by 1 S-rank hunter. So yeah, as crazy as it sounds, Igris was actually just a B-rank boss. Next up, we got the B-rank boss Groctar. Groctar was the chieftain and warlord of the Red Blade Orc tribe. And yeah, this green-skinned beast was an absolute powerhouse with crazy physical strength. He was the boss of an unnamed dungeon that had a dungeon break at Jinah's school, causing orcs to flood out of the gate and start attacking students. And Groctar? Yeah, well, he wasn't just standing around, he went straight for Jinah and was literally about to take her out. Well, until Jinwoo came crashing through the wall like an absolute menace. And guess what? Jinwoo was not happy that Groctar was attacking his sister, so he literally slaughtered every last one of the orcs, and just to make sure Groctar knew he messed up by messing with his sister, he left him for last before finishing him off. Now, last but not least, we've got Baruka, the actually B+ ranked dungeon boss. Baruka was an intelligent ice elf warrior who was the leader of the ice elves and the boss of the Red Gate dungeon. And yeah, it's pretty obvious why he was in charge. He was insanely strong. With crazy speed, strength, and resistance, Jinwoo himself said that both he and Igris together couldn't take Baruka down. So he had to turn Jinchul into iron just to get the upper hand and finally defeat him. But wait, so how is Baruka only a B+ rank boss? Well, even though he was stupidly strong, he still only qualifies as a high B rank because it took 3 A rank hunters, Iron, Igris, and Jinwoo, to take him down. Now, some people might think that Jinwoo was already an S rank during the Red Gate incident, but actually, no. At this point, he was only a very high A rank hunter. And how do we know this? Well, after Jinwoo came out of the dungeon, Yoonho grabbed his shoulder and thought to himself that they were basically on the same level. Although, in fact, the light novel confirms that Yoonho was actually even stronger than Jinwoo at that moment. And if you didn't know, Yoonho is actually one of the weakest S rank hunters. So yeah, if 3 A ranks were enough to take Baruka down, that means he can only be a high B rank boss. Alright, that wraps up the B rank bosses, so now let's move on to the A ranks. And first up, we got the boss Naga. The boss Naga was the boss of the Ajin Guild's first A rank gate. And yeah, he was absolutely massive and insanely strong. Wu Jinchul even said that normal Nagas were already tough enough to fight A rank hunters, thanks to their thick scales acting like built-in armor and shields. But yeah, we never really got to see the boss Naga's true power because, well, Jinwoo just one-shot him, extracted his shadow, and named him Jinah. But still, he was incredibly strong. Next up, let's talk about Vulcan. Vulcan was a boss of the Demon Castle and the ruler of the lower floors. Now, even though he was massive, and I mean morbidly obese, don't let that fool you because this demon could move at insane speeds. Jinwoo literally didn't even see him coming until Vulcan was right in his face. And on top of his speed, Vulcan was also ridiculously strong, landing powerful blows that kept Jinwoo down. But by the time Jinwoo faced Vulcan, he was a higher S rank hunter, and with the help of his shadows, he was able to take this massive demon down. Talking about Vulcan, we of course gotta talk about Midas. Midas was the ruler of the 75th floor of the Demon Castle, and much like Jinwoo with his shadows, Midas had the ability to summon thousands of undead, which he of course used to try and overwhelm Jinwoo and his army. Sounds pretty scary, right? But yeah, instead of struggling with all those undead, he literally one-shot Midas. But, of course, that doesn't mean Midas isn't an A-rank boss, it's just that Jinwoo is that OP. Moving on, we've got the Earth Giant. The Earth Giant was the boss of an unnamed A-rank dungeon, which was bought out by the Hunters Guild where Jinwoo, of course, went undercover as a miner to join a higher-ranked dungeon. But wait, we never saw the boss of this dungeon, right? Well, if you're an anime only, you're right. You never saw this giant boss, instead you literally only saw a gate. But in the manhwa, Jinwoo literally stood right in front of the boss, and well, this thing was huge, like about the size of a small building, with sharp teeth, multiple arms, and one big red eye in the center of its face. So, even though we didn't get to see it in action because Chae of course interrupted him, Jinwoo mentioned that it was stronger than both Vulcan and Midas, and it was the strongest boss level magic beast he'd seen at the time. Now, we actually got some A+ ranked dungeon bosses, so first up, we've got Kargalgan. Kargalgan was a high orc shaman and the boss of the Hunters Guild Gate, and this guy was no joke. He could blast huge fireballs, grow massive, and even control hundreds of high orcs. He had a ton of magic spells up his sleeve and was a real powerhouse. But of course, Jinwoo, being Jinwoo, was just too OP and completely stomped him. And well, you might think Kargalgan was weak after that, but absolutely not. Jong-In, an S-rank hunter who's literally known as the Ultimate Hunter, said that he wouldn't have been able to take Kargalgan on. So yeah, this guy was crazy strong even by S-rank standards. Another A+ ranked boss was the Archlich. This boss from the Busan Gate was insanely strong and infamous for its sheer power. So yeah, they're regarded as extremely dangerous. The Archlich also got some crazy abilities, like the power to revive and control the dead, essentially turning them into its own army of undead. But yeah, this time Jinwoo didn't take this boss down. Nope, it was Beru. Yeah, Jinwoo had to leave the dungeon to handle something else, so he left Beru behind to protect the party. And when the Archlich showed up, Beru didn't hesitate. He took it down no problem. And considering just how strong Beru is, it's no surprise that the Archlich is ranked as A+. Finally, we reach the S-rank dungeon bosses. And first up, we've got the Ant King. The Ant King was the hidden boss of the Jeju Island S-rank gate, and definitely one of the strongest monsters in the entire series. Like, he was single-handedly responsible for the deaths of over 8 S-rank hunters in the 4th Jeju Island Raid, including one of the strongest S-rank hunters in the world. So yeah, he was that strong. Literally no one could match his strength, except for Jinwoo, of course. They had an intense battle, but Jinwoo quickly outclassed him, using his superior strength to counter every punch the Ant King threw. And in the end, Jinwoo defeated the Ant King and added him to his shadow army and named him Beru. Having talked about the Ant King, we gotta talk about the Ant Queen. The Ant Queen was the boss of the Jeju Island S-rank gate and, of course, the mother of the Ant King. She had the ability to reproduce and hatch powerful ants, making her a major threat. But the one who took this S-rank boss down was actually Hae-In. So how is the Ant Queen considered an S-rank? Well, it's pretty simple really. Since the Ant Queen was capable of creating the Ant King, who we know was insanely powerful, it only makes sense that the Queen herself would be an S-rank boss. Moving on, let's talk about Baran. Well, not the real Baran, who was the King of Demons and Monarch of the White Flames, but the replica of Baran, who was the final boss of the Demon Castle. Now, even though this was just a clone, Baran was still insanely powerful. But of course, being a copy, he was way weaker than the real deal. Still, this replica managed to gain the upper hand against Jinwoo because he was still way stronger. But then, Essel distracted Baran just long enough for Jinwoo to rip off his arms and deliver a massive punch to Baran's jaw with everything he had. Now, let's talk about the Statue of God. This huge and extremely scary-looking statue with a sadistic smile was the boss of the Double Dungeon. Its most terrifying ability was its heat vision, being able to fire superheated beams of energy from its eyes. And according to Jinwoo, these beams were faster than the speed of sound and so powerful that Jinwoo, even at over level 100, wouldn't have survived a direct hit. So yeah, it's that strong. But still, when we first saw this statue, Jinwoo and his squad was at such a low level at the time, so is this statue really an S-rank boss? Well, yeah. When Jinwoo returned to the Double Dungeon, Choi Jong-In, Woo Jinchul, Chae, and a bunch of A-rank hunters tried to fight it. Choi even blasted it with his flames, but these flames failed to even scratch it. So yeah, this statue is OP. Talking about the Statue of God, we need to talk about the Architect. Because the Architect, whose real name is Kandiaru, was actually the hidden boss of the Double Dungeon. And the Statue of God we saw? Well, that was actually just one of Kandiaru's most powerful puppets. Kandiaru was just as sadistic and malicious as his creation. And get this, he's the one who created the system. But why did he save Jinwoo and create the system? Well, Kandiaru worshipped the Monarchs like gods, and his goal was to help Ashborn, the Shadow Monarch, find a human who could become his vessel. So he made the system to train a human into becoming powerful enough to eventually be overtaken by Ashborn. Sounds crazy, right? However, things didn't go as Kandiaru planned. Ashborn betrayed him and instead chose Jinwoo to replace him as the next Shadow Monarch. And if you didn't know, Kandiaru despises humans. So when Kandiaru wanted to kill Jinwoo after finding out Ashborn betrayed him, he literally started screaming in rage when he realized that Jinwoo was winning in their battle. Now, technically a dungeon boss, we've got the Supergiant. I say technically a dungeon boss because at first, Jinwoo thought it was the boss of the Tokyo S-rank gate. But later, we found out the true boss was Legia, the King of Giants and the Monarch of the beginning. But, as he was chained up, he used his own mana to create this Supergiant. So yeah, technically, the Supergiant was the dungeon boss. Now this Supergiant was huge, towering over skyscrapers, and had insane physical strength. To give you an idea of how strong it was, it first killed one of the strongest S-rank hunters in the world, and then easily overpowered Jima and Tusk, two of Jinwoo's strongest shadows. Now, keep in mind, even a regular giant is strong enough to overpower an average S-rank hunter, so you can only imagine how ridiculous the Supergiant's strength was. Finally, the last S-rank boss we've got is Kamish. But honestly, this guy should really just have his own tier, because Kamish was the boss of the very first S-rank gate ever to open. and he caused some serious chaos. He completely wrecked the American West Coast, taking out over 99 S-rank hunters and millions of American civilians. So yeah, this dude was clearly no joke. He was also a servant of Antares, the king of dragons and the strongest monarch, so you can only imagine how crazy powerful Antares must be. Anyway, due to the insane damage and destruction Kamish caused, he's considered humanity's greatest calamity and one of the strongest magic beasts humanity ever encountered. So, how did he get taken down? Well, there were still 5 S-rank hunters left standing, and these hunters teamed up and managed to bring down the dragon. And after the battle, these 5 hunters became known as the national level hunters. But yeah, Kamish was a beast. So, there you have it, guys. All dungeon bosses and their ranks in solo leveling. Who is your favorite boss? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and watch this video next.